Hello humans, and welcome to another episode of the Cartridge and Disc Podcast. Today it's 1982. This is your Gen X gamer here. Watch this news reports, and afterwards let's talk a little bit about 1982.
And video games are getting it from everyone, as Entertainment This Week puts all its blips in one basket for this Easter weekend of 1982. Speaking of marketing, one of today's greatest marketing triumphs in the entertainment field is video games. It's a business which has tripled in size in just 3 years. Ron Hendren went out in the field to bring us this special report.
One of the traditional battlegrounds for the entertainment dollar has been here, the movie theater box office. Movies raked in $2.9 billion last year, a sum which sent critics into a frenzy trying to figure out which were hits based on their box office performance. But a larger issue has often been ignored, and that is that ticket sales have been relatively flat since 1972. In the important youth market, movies compete with records and tape. A visit to LA's largest record stores confirms industry figures that record and tape sales are down. Nationwide, the decline is estimated at $1 billion for 1981. All of this bad news is not completely due to the recession. The movies and the music industry have suddenly had to face a new competitor, one which took in a stunning $5.6 billion last year. To find out where all these dollars are going, you have to go to the places where they're spent. Video game arcades around the country, where, at 25 cents a crack, 22.4 billion quarters were dropped last year.
I used to sit down every day, spend about $10 at a time. It took me about 5 weeks every day of playing to come into about the 300, 400,000 average. I spent about maybe $600-700 on the game total.
The video mania, according to Walter Lowe, who wrote a Playboy article about it, goes beyond mere passion.
The games certainly are conducive to obsessive behavior. Someone who has a tendency toward obsession certainly is in trouble when they get into the world of video games.
The trouble kids can get into has prompted city officials from Marlborough, Massachusetts to Oakland, California to pass ordinances regulating when children can play in arcades. Such regulations, currently embroiled in court challenges, meet the approval of mothers like Mrs. Ronnie Lamb, who has been leading parents to take a stand against the uncontrolled spread of the machines.
I think to a certain extent it's taking over some children's lives. Children are not developing communicative skills when they're zeroing into a machine. They're not learning how to interact with the world around them and their peers. What is the future world going to be like if our children can't speak to each other? I think parents need some help from society to set parameters for where their children should be going and where their children are permitted to go. Society has always done this. We have laws for drinking ages. We have laws for smoking, dealing with age limitations. Parents need help.
Parents are going to need all the help they can get, for the expansion of the video games industry is even being fueled by the city of Los Angeles, which is investigating putting video games into jury rooms and city parks to replace dwindling tax revenues. In these circumstances, it isn't surprising that arcade executives are bullish about a future in which they see their games reaching out to touch everyone.
Probably within a year or a year and a half, because of computers and the sophisticated use of computers and the technology, you'll be able to come into Castle Park in Sherman Oaks and put a quarter in a machine and play your brother-in-law in Castle Park in Miami on the same machine and have a competition long distance, if it will.
Wow, a look back at 1982. First of all, let me say how lucky I feel that we're alive in this time. You know, a time where, just think about this. Like I was thinking about this while I was watching this video, and a couple of things that when I watched this video made me make this video here that you're listening to. One of them is they mentioned the impact that video games had on movie sales. That's still true today, right? That's still true today, because there's only so much dollars to go around. And let me tell you, I'd rather buy a video game than go watch a movie, right? When it comes to movies, at least in my house, my wife is really the movie buff, right? She likes watching movies. and you know, we have movie night together and stuff like that. But for me, my preference is video games, right? And because the medium is just so much more versatile, you know, I feel it much more fulfilling. You can play games, right? Remember, there's a couple of them in the PS3, right? And a couple of PS4, and like Detroit Become Human. I mean, you could talk about Death Stranding, right? Almost like interactive movies, right? That's really what I think about some of the video games. But when we look back at 1982, right? When we look back at 1982, what kind of video games are we talking about? We are talking about Miss Pac-Man, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I'm human. I can err, right? You can blame Siri or my old memory, right? But we're talking about 41 years now, right? What is it? 41? Yeah, 41 years of this, right? We had Donkey Kong Jr., I believe, released that year. I remember playing Defender for sure, right? And Mr. Do, and the other one, oh, jeez, so many. Did Centipede come out that year? Or was it late 81? I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, there were so many great games, guys, and I remember playing those specifically. If you had to ask me what are the games that I mostly played that year, I would say it was Dig Dug, I would say it was Mr. Do, Miss Pac-Man, and Saxon, right? Those are the ones that I remember playing continuously that year. And, you know, to be able to make videos on the current events of today with a Microsoft deal, right? And talk about Death Stranding, you know, on the post. You guys can go check it out, by the way. I made a post on Death Stranding. I believe that's on sale on Steam. If you haven't played it, the director's cut. It's not for everybody, guys. The game is not for everybody, but probably for Gen X gamers. You know, give it 10 hours, give it 12 hours, and you'll probably be hooked. And if you really know your gaming, you'll see some reference to old games there that you might not be aware of. But anyway, guys, I just want to go back in time. This is really what I watch. I don't watch any current television. I actually watch, you know, 80s, sometimes 70s sitcoms online. That's what I watch. I like reminiscing. That was my kind of media. I'm not saying that today's media isn't good or today's shows aren't any good, but I have only so many hours in the day, guys, and you know, that's what I like doing. You know, that's what I like watching besides playing video games. Like when I get home tonight, it's all about the family, and if I get some time, right, some Death Stranding tonight for sure. Right? But I feel so lucky and so blessed to live in this time that I can look back to where we came from, right? Go back in time and remember my friends at that time and how addicted, just like they were saying, we were addicted to video games. Every single dollar from our allowance went to video games. That's a year where, you know, I decided I have to go work, man. I can't. Because we were all inner city kids, right? None of us really had money. We all had to work. My friends and I that are still friends to this day, we began working at 12 years old, right? That's when you know, when I hear these news reports, oh, there was kids working, they found kids working. And I'm like, of course they're working. Have you seen the prices of these video games? They're trying to get their bag, man. Don't crap their style. They're trying to work for video games. Well, guys, thank you for joining me. It's the afternoon commute. That's what I was inspired to make today after watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you like and subscribe. It really does help the channel. Hit that like button. And if you like to, let me know. Right? Let me know what was your favorite game of 1982. Whether you were born by then or not. I know a lot of you are a lot younger than I am, so just let me know. Guys, thank you so much for watching me. I really appreciate it. Have yourselves a great rest of the day, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.